1 in 25 people you know is a psychopath. That's 4% of the American population. Over 13 million people. Dr. Kevin Dutton sat in his Oxford University lab in 2011 staring at brain scans. The amygdala, the part that processes fear and empathy, was almost silent. The subject felt nothing. No guilt. No remorse. No connection to human suffering. Just cold calculation. This wasn't a prison study. These were CEOs. Lawyers. Surgeons. People running companies. Leading courtrooms. Holding scalpels over unconscious patients. And nobody around them had a clue. The dark triad. 3 overlapping personality traits that create the perfect human predator. Narcissism. Psychopathy. Machiavellianism. Separately, they're dangerous. Combined, they're unstoppable. Dr. Robert Hare spent 40 years studying psychopaths for the FBI. He developed the psychopathy checklist, the gold standard for identification. He found something disturbing. The traits that make someone a psychopath are the same traits that make them successful. What he discovered next changed everything. Dr. Robert Hare sat across from a convicted murderer in a British Columbia prison. He was refining his psychopathy checklist, revised. 20 traits. Score above 30, you're clinically a psychopath. The inmate scored 38. He'd killed 3 people. Showed zero emotion recounting the details. Hare noticed something. The man wasn't stupid. He was strategic. Charming when it benefited him. Explosive when challenged. He studied people like chess pieces. That's when Hare realized the truth. Psychopaths aren't all in prison. Most never get caught. They're too smart. In 2005, researchers at the University of British Columbia began the largest dark triad study ever conducted. They surveyed over 35,000 people across 14 countries. The results were terrifying. 4% scored high on psychopathy. 8% on narcissism. 12% on Machiavellianism. But here's what nobody expected. The highest concentrations weren't in prisons. They were in corporate boardrooms, law firms, political offices, operating rooms. Dr. Paul Babiak studied executives at Fortune 500 companies. He found that 12% of senior leaders exhibited significant psychopathic traits. That's triple the general population. These weren't criminals. They were millionaires. The dark triad had found the perfect hunting ground. But the real question wasn't where they were. It was how to spot them before they destroy you. Martin Shkreli sat in his Manhattan hedge fund office in 2008. He was 25 years old. Brilliant. Charismatic. Completely ruthless. Employees described him as magnetic. He could charm investors into handing over millions. Then turn around and humiliate subordinates until they cried. Classic narcissistic supply. He needed constant admiration. When he didn't get it, he raged. In 2015, he bought the rights to Daraprim, a life-saving AIDS medication. Overnight, he raised the price from $13 to $750 per pill. A 5,700% increase. People were dying. Shkreli smirked in interviews. He felt nothing. That's the psychopathy. No empathy for suffering. Only the game mattered. Dr. Hare's checklist lit up. Grandiose sense of self-worth. Pathological lying. Lack of remorse. Shallow affect. Manipulative behavior. Shkreli scored at least 32. But here's what most people miss. You can't diagnose the dark triad from a distance. You need proximity. These people don't reveal themselves immediately. They seduce first. Dr. Perpetua Neo, a psychologist specializing in dark triad abuse, studied over 2,000 victims in 2016. She found a pattern. The relationship always follows the same arc: idealization, devaluation, discard. First, they love bomb you. You're perfect, special, chosen. They mirror your values, your dreams. They become exactly what you need. This lasts weeks, sometimes months. You're hooked. Then the mask slips. Criticism starts. Subtle at first, then overt. They gaslight you, make you question reality, isolate you from support systems. By the time you realize what's happening, you're trapped. But what they do next is even more disturbing. In 2017, the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit released a classified report. They'd been studying a pattern. Corporate executives who exhibited dark triad traits weren't just destroying companies. They were operating like organized criminals. Dr. Mary Ellen O'Toole, a former FBI profiler, found something nobody anticipated. Psychopaths don't just lack empathy. They study it. They become experts in faking human emotion. One CEO she profiled kept a notebook. In it, he'd written detailed observations. When to smile. How long to maintain eye contact. Which phrases trigger trust. He'd reverse-engineered human connection. This is Machiavellianism at its peak. Pure strategic manipulation. O'Toole discovered he'd embezzled $47 million over 8 years. Nobody suspected him. He was beloved. Charismatic. Threw lavish parties. Donated to charity for publicity. It was all theater. Dr. Dutton's Oxford research revealed why this works. Psychopaths have different brain wiring. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex responsible for moral decision-making shows reduced activity. They literally don't process right and wrong the same way. But the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex responsible for planning and strategy is hyperactive. They're built to manipulate. In 2019, researchers at Emory University scanned the brains of 257 inmates. Those scoring highest on the psychopathy checklist showed 41% less gray matter in the paralimbic system. This controls empathy and emotional regulation. They can't feel what you feel. And they use that advantage ruthlessly. The University of British Columbia study found the darkest correlation. People high in all three dark triad traits, narcissism, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, reported significantly higher life satisfaction. They were happier. More successful. Earned more money. Had more sexual partners. The traits we call evil are evolutionarily advantageous. That's why they persist. That's why 1 in 25 people carry them. And that's why you need to know the signs. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a clinical psychologist specializing in narcissistic abuse, published a guide in 2020. 7 red flags that appear within the first 3 months. Excessive charm. Too good to be true compliments. Rapid relationship escalation. Boundary violations framed as spontaneity. Subtle put-downs disguised as jokes. Obsessive need for control over small decisions. Explosive anger when challenged, followed by excessive apologies. If you see 3 or more, run. The dark triad doesn't change. Therapy doesn't work. Dr. Hare himself said trying to treat psychopathy is like trying to teach a colorblind person to see red. The wiring isn't there. Your only protection is identification and distance. The University of Georgia conducted a study in 2021. They found that people who scored high on dark triad awareness were 47% less likely to become victims of fraud, manipulation, or abusive relationships. Knowledge is the only defense. So look around. 1 in 25. They're in your office. Your family. Your friend group. Maybe even reading this right now. If these investigations into human darkness intrigue you, there's more coming. Because the question isn't just who they are. It's what happens when they gain real power. Subscribe for a new dark truth every day.